Basketball Manitoba podcast, we have Reid Kenyon. He has been officiating for over 30 years and is one of 4 Manitobans who has held a FIBA international card. He's officiated over 14 U Sport national championships and numerous international competitions around the world, even officiating the Dream Team in Madison Square Garden. He is the head assignor for the Winnipeg Minor Basketball Association, a role which he's held since the league's inception. He is president of the Manitoba Association of Basketball Officials, and he's been awarded Manitoba Official of the Year for outstanding officiating achievements in 2015. Reid, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Darcy. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. So I was kind of mentioning a little earlier before we went live that you are one of the, I use the word pure official, and that was just because I think we've had people who officiated, like Ross Wedlick was our first official, right? But Ross is, maybe known for other things. We had Reid Kenyon, who's a longtime official, but, I was asking Rick a lot about like coaching and stuff and everything like that. But as far as I know, you're kind of like you're an official first, and then, you have other things in your life. But you and I go way back because I used to work in the 100%. WMBA, but even before that, because I know for a fact that in high school you refereed me, in college you officiated me. When I was a coach myself, in college you officiated me, and then after that we worked together with WMBA. So to say there's a lot of touch points there would be an understatement, but it's an honor to have you on, man.
Yeah, likewise. Appreciate the time. It must have been a slow day that nobody else answered the phone, and I'm like, Darcy wants me to have him on his podcast here. So, thrilled to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll just make it known because people always ask me, and since you bring it up, Adam is the decision maker on this. So if you have any complaints about the guest list or anything like that, send it to Adam. I just ask the questions.
Okay, good. I'll note that.
So maybe Adam owes you something. I don't know. He's like, we got to get Reid on. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you've been emailing him and saying, are we going to get more officials on this thing or what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We actually talked about that. That's funny.
No, well, I mean, it's like I'd mentioned kind of at the start. I mean, there have been other officials. Like again, Ross was episode 1, and we had Reid Kenyon and other people I know have officiated that are coaches as well. But that's kind of the way things are in Manitoba and just basketball generally. Like if you're like coaching or if you're doing like community club or you do other things, like there's a lot of people who play and they also officiate as well. Like it's not just like people are. I'm just an official. You do have some like that, but you also have people who are players, coaches as well. It's pretty cool.
It is. It's the community is so small, to be honest. Everywhere I go, if it's refereeing a university game or a high school game, or just being around the WMBA, the paths you cross. Mm-hmm. It could be a player, the referee in a senior men's game that's also a coach in high school, or last night I was at the university and I must have ran into 4 or 5 different people from different walks of the basketball community. Mm-hmm. That's it's one of the great things about our community is it's so, it's probably the biggest, smallest kind of a sports organization or a province or sport in a province there is. So it's great to see, just different walks of life and people being the sport bringing us together. And, certainly with the fact that, as you, my intro, I have lots of different touch points, as you say, being on the executive with MABO and the WMBA and then still running around trying to referee. And you're making me feel old, Darcy, when you start throwing out those names or numbers. Refereeing for over 30 years, and it's
yeah. Well, I was joking before. I was like, how old are you? Because we were going over the bio, and then I was like, wait, well, how old are you then? And you're in your 50s, and so hey, that's time flies, as they say. But lots of stuff has happened, and we're gonna kind of get into that. Quick question though. So you said you're still officiating. Are you still doing U Sport stuff?
100%. Yeah. Still running around there. It's I think it's my 31st year doing U Sport or Canada West or whatever what it's been called over the years. So so it's and interesting. You mentioned Reid Kenyon, and certainly one of my mentors and guys I looked up to over those years. He recently did his 1,000th game at the U Sport level, and I started adding up my games, and geez, I'm about to hit that milestone myself.
Really?
Yeah. So it's very interesting. I never really thought about it, but 30 years times 30, 35 games a year, the
Yeah.
number, it gets there pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned like whatever they're calling it these days. I mean, you must have seen because even I like I mean I even remember it was like CIAU, CIS, now U Sports. So there's been three changes in my time. Pretty crazy.
It's just, and it's great to see because you see different teams now. We got a
Yeah.
program now that we're part of in U Sport with 14 or 15 schools now all across Western Canada.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
when I broke in, it was the GPAC
Yeah.
league where you basically had four schools,
Yeah.
and you're primarily from Manitoba here. You're playing Brandon and Winnipeg, Manitoba. And then, of course, Regina was a part of that as well. So,
Hmm.
seeing the same teams that many times probably isn't that exciting for the players and the teams. And now we have different programs coming through all the time. We
Hmm.
had the University of Alberta is here in Winnipeg this weekend playing the Westmen. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, a lot of change over the years, and it's and good change.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I'm excited to hear about the tournament that they're having at U of M this year. Like, so that 16 or 12 team Canada West tournament.
Yeah,
Is that what it is? Yeah.
yeah,
Are
that's
you
going to
going to
be
be?
awesome.
Yeah. Are you involved in that at all? Or I mean, I'm sure you'll be getting some of the games. I'm sure, but
Yeah, I've been selected as one of I think there's probably going to be about a dozen officials that'll be a part of that
nice.
a tournament that starts on a Wednesday and ends on Sunday. And yeah, it's going to be really exciting. Over the years, the format of playoffs in Canada West has changed. Where they used to have over several weeks, and you win and you go from quarterfinals, semifinals to the final four. Now it's like you win, you keep playing, you lose, you go home. And
Hmm.
University of Manitoba did a great job last year in the playoffs when the Bisons were, and we had a hometown playoff match with UW, U of M, and it was an amazing game, and the gym was absolutely packed to
Hmm.
the rafters. So if that's any indication that the community will support it, those 5 days here in March, in March, is going to be it'll be rocking here at Investors Group for
Hmm.
those playoff action. And Canada West this year, I tell you, anyone can beat anyone. There isn't like a different tiers or anything.
Hmm.
Um, Everybody's playing well. Everyone's closely matched. So I'm not here on this podcast to promote coming out and watching great basketball, but you're not going to see anything better in your backyard. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's a great opportunity to see some really top end talent, and our home teams, the Bisons and the Westmen, will be right in the thick of things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, it's exciting. So let's talk more about you, man. You mentioned Rick Gagne. I should have took that chance to transition, but I wanted to ask you a few more questions about some of the
Yeah.
stuff that was going on. But I always ask, with people on here is, how they got into basketball, and for you specifically, like, tell me how you got into officiating. Who were some of your mentors? You mentioned Rick, other ones. So how did that all happen?
Yeah, it was just kind of, it wasn't, there wasn't really anything organized like the WMBA where there was leagues and, we have clinics now and we go out and recruit referees or anything. It was none of that was ever in place back when I was in high school. And it was really my junior high teacher, gym
Mm,
teacher that actually coached me as well. Just said, hey, while I was going to school at Kelowna and East playing for Ross Wedlake and uh, gave me an opportunity to go back and just make some part-time money refereeing some junior high games. And another longtime official and administrator, Wes Crimble,
mm,
kind of he refereed as well me while I was playing in high school and knew that I refereed and he kind of recruited me, I guess, and said, you should be refereeing some high school next year when you graduate. And that's just kind of how it fell into place. I started doing some high school and had some success. And then, you start looking around and seeing guys like Rick Gagne traveling across the country and, you know, being selected to be one of the officials in Sydney Olympics in 2000. So you kind of look around, you see some of those success and go, geez, I'd love those opportunities,
mm,
and as a young guy, I just kind of stuck with it and, had some really good mentors like Rod Pepler and I said Wes Krimble. They kind of took a liking to some of the things that I was doing, and so it just kind of evolved. It wasn't one of those kind of things I had on the dartboard or whatever on my
Mm-hmm.
to-do list or a goal to become an official. And just became a part of it, and part of the fraternity, and a lot of my closest friends came out of the basketball community, out of the
Mm-hmm.
refereeing community, and so high school, and then I guess it was probably when I was 21 when I actually did my very, very first university game.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it was an exhibition game back in the day when University of Winnipeg, the Westman had that streak going, or 88 in a
Yes,
row, and
yes,
they were
yes,
a
yes.
dominant team. I had an opportunity to do a game way back when with another legend in the name of Ken Epp, and it was an exhibition game actually out in Kenora, Ontario, to be
No way.
all places. So Ken and I loaded up the van and we drove out there. So it was a big thrill for me, not only being a young guy and the opportunity to do the kind of the next level,
Mm-hmm.
but just to do it with a guy that refereed me as when I played. But at the time, Ken was probably considered not just one of our Manitoba elite officials, but one of the top elite officials in Canada at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and just a real um, book of knowledge, and just a really, really nice man, and willing to, provide his, you know, uh, experiences and knowledge. So, I remember that night like it was yesterday. And that was
Mm-hmm.
really the start of when I kind of got the bug or the interest in going, yeah, I
Mm.
can do this and I want to do this. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
many, many years ago. And that's just kind of really, that was really, the start of it for my next, I guess, the next chapter at the, the post high school level.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, it's a good little lead in. But I got to take you back, man. I forgot about this because when I was interviewing Ross, he mentioned
Yeah.
you because and I don't know if I ever brought that up with you, but I said, well, if I'm when I interview Reid, I got to bring it up. So like you obviously played basketball in high school. Tell us a little bit about your playing days with regards to what you remember about having Ross as a coach and just maybe those last years in high school. Give
As
a little sneak peek.
For sure. Basketball was a real passion of mine, and I absolutely loved playing for Ross, an amazing coach. Still consider him one of my most influential basketball people that I could
Hmm.
mention. He would be in the top two or three for sure. So it was a great experience playing for him. I didn't get a whole lot of playing time in my first year in grade 11 with him,
Yeah.
but he did a great job of kind of mentoring me through that, and telling me, if you want to play, you gotta earn it, and you gotta work hard, and yeah, so he gave me the kind of, here's the carrot, go chase it.
Hmm.
um and I had a bit of a growth spurt between grade 11 and 12, and I it was interesting. Ross was also my neighbor.
No
He
way.
lived kind of around the corner from me, and I had a hoop on my driveway, and he would see me out there. I would be hours every day practicing, not just
Yep.
shooting, but ball handling, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. And there'd be times that his son would come over
Hmm.
and drop off and stop and say, "Hey, my dad just wanted to tell you that work on your right hand." I was left-handed at that time, so make sure you're practicing your left hand. So, he'd have his son come over and give me some pointers. So, no, he really inspired me to work hard and to improve my game, and certainly grade 12 was a great opportunity to play for him, and had lots of playing time there, and made the
Hmm.
graduating all-star game, and I had a great, you know, an amazing experience,
Hmm.
and but knew there was no real aspiration. The scholarship opportunities weren't coming in the mail.
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
whatever back in the olden days when you'd open up your mail. What I heard, anyways, I wasn't getting those opportunities, and kind of just segued, into taking refereeing a little bit more serious. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for
I
sure.
appreciate you asking me about that, because that was kind of a pillar in my youth. That playing for Ross was a real a treasured time that I look back on as
Hmm.
something that was very special. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, for sure. Ross is a legend, man. It's you say some of the things like he would be, just in my interactions with him. If I could have ever had him as a coach, like knowing what I know about him, I would have said absolutely any day, right? Like he's a special man for sure. But for anyone, so we have a lot of coaches, obviously, who listen to this podcast, right? As you can imagine. So you
Yeah.
hear that graduating all star, he played. So none of this stuff like, hey, he didn't play all this crap like that just because you play senior men's, all that, whatever. I'm saying that I'm speaking for you. I know you would never say that, Reed. So I'm speaking on your behalf.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
No, and it's cool though because like a lot of people don't like they just think, well, I don't know, this guy's just like he's just an official. He doesn't like basketball. He doesn't love the game, right? And a lot of people think that unless you were a guy who they know you from playing college or something like that, they just think these guys don't know the game, right? And so I think it's an important thing to highlight is like you had a passion for the game, right? And you were being coached by one of the best when it comes to like everything you said about Ross and what I said about him, right? So it's an important piece I think to just acknowledge.
yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. So obviously after 21, you said there you had that random game in Kenora with one of the best teams of all time. You got the itch a little bit after that, or that was like the first step. Can you talk a little bit more about the pathway and kind of what took place after that, and then again maybe looking. I mean, you mentioned a few people. What did it look like for you to kind of get into, I guess it was CI or CIAU at the time, whatever it was, college basketball. And then who were some of your mentors again? Because maybe I think this is important for again, the coaches out there and or anyone who's looking to get into officiating. I know it's very different now, but how does one develop as an official and maybe tell your story and then we can kind of get into the other stuff later. So how did you develop the process? Some of your mentors as well, how did they guide you kind of to getting
yeah,
into it full time?
yeah. It's it's a great question because what that looks like today compared to 30 years ago is completely
Yeah,
different. And I mean, the game and technology and access to information and everything obviously is in today's world is
yeah,
prevalent in the refereeing world as well.
for sure.
Back then when you're starting out, your bubble is basically as far as your reach. And
Mhm.
for me, that's really was Manitoba. So back in my early 20s, when I'm trying to break in, I guess at the university level, we had a really veteran crew here of some tremendous referees and basketball people. So it was difficult to break in, but on the other hand, it was great to be. It's like being on a rookie on a veteran team, and the learnings you can get from these people. And you had a guy like Rod Pepler, who was kind of the um, you know he's what he's done for the basketball community and specifically refereeing over the last 40 years. There hasn't been anyone like him, or probably never will be anyone that the time and the commitment and investment that Rod made. So, and it wasn't just at the university level; it was right down to the grassroots for many years. So, at that time, he was the assigner of university at that time, and you got guys like Dave Morphy and Wes Crimble, Larry Hayes, these guys who have been around for a long time. Of course, Rick DeGagne out of Brandon. So you have these kind of veteran presence that are kind of, Bruce Fricker is a name that some of the viewers might know. He moved away about 25 years ago, and Ken App, again, another guy I talk. So you're talking all these guys are all in kind of the same age category, and 20 plus years of officiating at that level. So it's you know great opportunity to watch and learn from them and kind of develop under the watchful eye of Rod Pepler. And when I broke in, I also broke in about the same time as Cam Moscow, as lots of people would know in this community. And Cam and I are about the same age, and he was young like myself, and got quite involved in refereeing and went along to get his FIBA card as well. So we kind of came up as the young guns moving through the system. And, as time went along, there's those opportunities where, you're not just refereeing at the youth sport or university level, but the Canada Games, the Western Canada Games, all those summer tournaments start coming along. And then that's really when, for us back then, it's like seeing a whole new world. As I alluded to earlier, I mean, today, I mean, you just turn on your computer or you're connected everywhere. You know what's going on in basketball around the world, never mind in the next province over. Well, 30 plus years ago, you did, until you got a chance to travel outside the province, you didn't really weren't connected with any other officials or, know what basketball was like in Nova Scotia or British Columbia or Quebec, Ontario, for where you have it. So, you know, I think one of my biggest first tournaments was I'm going to say 1996 was the Canada Summer Games. It just happened to be in Brandon, Manitoba. Um, and I was fortunate enough to earn the gold medal game in that tournament. And that was really my biggest, next level opportunity. And where, I shone there and, obviously got made the gold medal game. And then that's when your name starts getting recognized outside the province. And, and then other opportunities start lending themselves. And, back then, our national refereeing body was called CABO, Canadian Association of Basketball Officials. They started running a national referees camp, and that's kind of where you went if you wanted to be seen on the national scene. So, the first couple of years when that started, I attended that clinic, and that's really where I guess, the next chapter comes from, is getting people getting to know my name, not only with these, the Canada Games kind of opportunities, but, going to these camps and seeing, and then of course there's decisions being made about who's going to be our next international official representing Canada. And so that's where my opportunities came out from that point to earn my FIBA card. And, something that at that point, I had aspired to for a number of years, to work towards that, knowing that there was that opportunity, and then I needed to keep working. So started going to camps like this Canadian camp. I went down south to a number of American camps, just to learn and expand my knowledge and just my reps. It's no different as you, Darcy, being a shooter. You're not going to improve until you have those reps, right? And it's no different being on the floor when blowing your whistle and those, when there's a big crash in the paint. Is that a block? Is that a charge? You got to have those reps to really understand and make that split-second decision. So, so that's kind of the path that I took to move through and kind of move up in terms of on a local perspective here at the university level, and then kind of climb the ladder at the national level.
So when you're doing all that, like when when we go back to when you were 21 there, at that point, obviously you had already been doing high school for quite a little, like it had to have been at least 2, 3, 4 years by then.
Yeah. It's basically, I think in my third year of high school, I started refereeing high school basketball in KPAC, what it used to, or KCAC, I guess, back then. So River East Transcona School Division is where I went to school at Kildonan East, and so I started refereeing right away. There was times I was refereeing kids that I played against the year before. It was crazy. So I did 2 full seasons of that. In my second season of high school, I also joined the senior men's rank. So again, another crazy opportunity. Here I am, a 20-year-old punk, just wet behind the ears, just learning to referee, and I'm refereing 25 and 30-year-old men. They're even 40-year-old men.
Yeah.
I was refereeing, at that young guys like Ken Opalko, who are still playing. The year before he was coaching NBCI, I was playing. He's coaching, playing again, and now I'm refereeing him as he's chucking threes. On the court. So I mean, it just I really jumped in the fast lane without probably being ready for the fast lane. And I was able to keep myself above water. And maybe some of the coaches out there that remember me back then might not agree with that, but you know, it's thrown right to the wolves or thrown right to the fire to learn as you go. And that was, those, like again, getting back to some of my mentors when I talk about guys like Wes Krimble and Rod Pepler, just giving me those opportunities to get involved that young.
Hmm.
I'm not sure you and I'd be having this conversation might be a lot different today if those guys didn't do those kind of things for me back when I was 20, 21, 22.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you mentioned the FIBA carding.
Yeah.
So what does that actually look? What did it look like for you? I mean, we don't have to talk about what it looks like now, but you're going to all these camps. Is it just all of a sudden you get the call like, "Hey, Reid, you know what? You've been selected," and then once that happens, was there something else you had to do to prove it, or tell me about that?
Yeah, it's so interesting. A little bit about what you said, but it's actually a tryout. So there's a fitness component to it, there's a written component to it, and there's an evaluation process of it. So what had happened is you'd go away for a weekend where there's a tournament somewhere in Canada. So I geez, I gotta remember. I think it was Montreal my first time I went. There was at that time the head of FIBA internationally or in the world, um, Lubaz was his name, came to Canada to give a clinic. So we sat in classrooms basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, learning and talking and breakout sessions and all. And a part of that, we'd have to write a written test, and we'd have to pass that. Another component of that, we had to do the beep test. So the old beep test there, and at that time, I think I had to get to 85 beeps, which
Okay. Do you know what level that is?
that's I think it's over just over 10 minutes now. I think 10 and a half minutes,
Okay.
something like that. And it's I still have it on a recording on my phone, and I'm proud to say that I go to the YMCA occasionally, and I get that beeping going on my um, earbuds, and I still run it. I still try to
No way.
make sure that I hit that 85. I want to make sure that I want to stay fit, and
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
so I'm still doing that. So anyway, you had to pass the physical, and then there's a game component of it. So you're amongst probably 25 officials there that are 24 or 26, something like that. And we'd all go out and referee some games. And at that point, depending on how many FIBA licenses they had at that time, you'd go away from that weekend, kind of feeling however you were, all mixed emotions. Oh, I did well or didn't do well. And at some point in the next month or so, there would be a letter or there wouldn't be a letter.
Uh,
And if the letter came, it's because you were awarded a FIBA license. If the letter didn't come,
mm,
you didn't get your FIBA license. So that's kind of how it worked. And today there's still kind of that, it's I won't say much different, but the foundation of it is pretty much the same on how you get a FIBA license in
mm,
Canada now today. So that was
interesting.
an exciting time. I mean, nerve wracking as heck. You're going in and I knew everybody that was trying out. Lots of them at that point were kind of my age, and referees from across Canada that we've gone to tournaments together, and we've forged really good friendships. And but you're competing against them. There's
Hmm.
only so many jobs you can they're handing out, right? And you're competing against your not just your fellow officials, but some of your best friends in the basketball community. So,
Hmm.
um, and then you'd have to make sure you pass that fitness test, and yeah, so it was nerve wracking. And then of
Hmm.
course they throw you out and say, okay, well, check the mail every day. And every day I was out there waiting for that envelope to come. And thankfully for me, I remember that day when I was awarded the license, and really exciting, and
That's
gave me an
awesome.
opportunity to travel the world in some of the some great tournaments.
Hmm.
I had an opportunity to travel to places I probably would have never gone, and I aspired to get to the Olympics. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But
Hmm.
you know, I wouldn't trade a minute of my time being an official at the FIBA level, and some
Hmm.
of the places and players that I got to referee was
Hmm.
it was truly, a dream come true, if I may.
Yeah. Well, you never got the college recruitment letter, but you got this one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. This has been on my bucket list, Darcy. So thank you for making that call to be on your podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. Well, when I was speaking about this, the letter you, or not this,
Oh, the
not
letter.
this
Oh,
call, the
yes,
letter.
yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
letter.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The
But this
letter
one
was
as
great. I
well, I
still have
appreciate
that.
you
Yeah,
saying that. No, but you
yeah,
got the, like you made it, and you sent hey, we want you, right?
yeah,
That's big time. So interesting here. You may or may not know. Like, obviously, I did some work with FIBA myself with 3x3, and so I know it's Lubo, I believe, is what he goes by. You said
yeah.
Lubo. I'm not sure. So I know him. I've spent days and hours talking with the man about officiating in basketball, and he actually came back and was just as an advisor with FIBA 3x3 back in, I guess, was 2018, and so he would be on the sidelines, doing some of the technical directing and just hanging out and observing, and I got to know him quite well, and so we talked quite a bit about stuff. He's a very interesting man, a lot of experience, a lot of stories. So it was pretty cool. But anyways, I only bring that up just to show, because every time this type of stuff happens, I'm reminded of how small the basketball world is in
Yeah.
the whole world. Because you're typically like, even doesn't matter who it is, you're like almost just one person away from them, literally, like anybody. I know that person, you know that person. Oh, we both know that person, and it's if you just say, okay, official. So for you, if I go meet, Lubo, and I say, okay, I'm from Winnipeg or I'm from Canada, and then I start naming the officials that I know, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I know him, right? Like eventually you're gonna get to people that you know from one person away. So very, very, I've had that moment happen plenty of times in person, which is you're always reminded about that. But I
We
wanted to
we
ask
we
you
t-
about. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say earlier in the podcast here we were talking about how small the community is here in Manitoba, but
Yeah,
you make a great point. The way basketball is today, it's actually a close knit or well connected
it
worldwide.
really is.
And you
It
just gave a great example of that.
Yeah, it really is. It's quite astonishing. Like I've met people in Tokyo and just wherever, and it's just like what literally one person away. If you say the country you're from, oh yeah, like because then they know those people. It's just it's interesting. I want to kind of hear some of these stories. So tell me what was the first tournament that you did once you got your card? Do you
I went
remember?
to a tournament. It was the U16 European Championship
Okay,
in Lithuania.
nice.
Again, like I got an opportunity to travel the world. I don't know if I'll ever make it to Lithuania or word on a personal perspective.
Yeah.
What an amazing experience. I was there for 2 weeks. The Baltic Sea was an hour and a half away from some of the beaches there are just some of the most beautiful beaches I've seen in my life. But
Hmm.
again, I would have never had that opportunity to go there. So it was a European championship. It was my first, I guess, real forte into the FIBA world, and I was the only Canadian there.
No way.
And and still some of the guys at the Serbian referees I still am connected with today, and
No
that's
way.
many years ago. And yeah, I was, so I'm basically I'm a Canadian refereeing Canadian basketball. I go to a completely different country, and to be honest, a completely way or different way of how they play basketball. European basketball, as you know, or is especially back then was not your typical Shaquille O'Neal on the low block and pound it into the into the paint. You have athletes that play five positions and they all just are interactive and everyone dribbles, everyone shoots, everyone passes. It's just a different game, and so here I am, my first tournament, and I'm mixed in with all European officials refereeing an all European tournament. So absolutely. After 2 weeks, like um, you know, entrenched in that. Definitely, coming home, going again. I took another step in terms of my development. So it was a fantastic opportunity. Really, I look back at that as one of those really stepping stones on, becoming, a better official. And I learned so much at that tournament. Um, I became kind of not only a referee, but I forget the name of I guess the referee coach or the assigner or the guy running the tournament didn't speak very good English at all. And we had some disciplinary um, kind of issues that we had to deal with, and needed the referee's perspective in a written statement. So I became I guess the English consultant on writing these FIBA submissions on what
Yeah.
happened in these games. So, so that became quite interesting. So, we'd have two or three people trying to put together, what happened in the game and broken English, and then I had to kind of put it together and put it on paper and write it down, and so we could submit something. So, another experience that I've yet to have or wouldn't have had unless So yeah, so really
Yeah,
cool, very very neat tournament to be at, and a great experience for me at that point.
for sure. Um, yeah, that's funny. I've had
Yeah.
like, some experiences like that. I was gonna ask you, kind of lost my train of thought, to be honest with you. Um, oh yeah, so I wanted to ask you, what is the country that so like, you mentioned you've traveled all over. Maybe just in your officiating specifically, top country that you visited that you enjoyed for whatever
Oh,
reason.
yeah, like I think I went to Europe a few times, and it just I think like I was at the World University Game in Russia.
Mm, mm,
And just kind of living in that kind of a country for 2.5 weeks. And it was really impactful for me. So it was a really neat experience. Down in Mexico at the Pan Am Games in Guadalajara back the Pan Am Games are there. It was another really cool experience. So just in a large, a large city in Mexico, and just seeing how people live down there and how things were operated, and the security level the
mm.
detail that we had to kind of live under. So I would say those probably Russia and Mexico were those two kind of opportunities that were really, not just from the basketball, but certainly just being kind of engaged in the community and in those cities and those countries was very cool from a personal
Hmm.
perspective.
That's cool. Yeah, no, that's definitely cool. Did they, I've been a part of this before in the Philippines. We did the 3x3 World Cup, but we would have like police escorts. Did they have that where they like bring you to the game? Yeah, they like clear people out of the way.
I did a game uh, in South America. Forget where the game was at this point, but it was FIBA has a league down in South America, and what they do is it's refereed primarily by the officials down in that area, but they would fly us Canadians in there for to give us some experience and be a part of it, and so that was really cool. I'd leave on a Thursday and I'd ref a Friday night and a Saturday, and I'd fly back to Canada. So I was down there for one of those tournaments. It's probably 8 to 10,000 seat arena, refereeing with two South American officials. So they only speak Spanish, and I some broken English. Nice guys who did a great job. It was the third game of a 3-game series, and the home team had a shot at the buzzer to win it, and the big guy went to the floor, and there was no foul, and they lost in a 3-game series, and 8,000 people descended on the court, and we had 10 guys with machine guns around us pushing us through that crowd, and they
Hold on.
were,
They were on the court, like they just
oh yeah,
rushed the,
yeah, it was like
but like out of anger because
oh
they
yeah,
didn't win.
the home team lost, and the big star had a jumper at the
Wow.
10-foot jumper to win the game, and he went to the floor, and no foul was called, and the crowd was on the floor, and so now to your point, when you get these guys with machine guns, you get military personnel that are escorting us through the crowd,
That's
You know, we
crazy.
so now
Wow.
we go into a change room, and you
Yeah.
can hear the crowd was just, there, you know, lots of emotion, and we're standing in this change room for probably 45 minutes or an hour, and I'm with my two colleagues who are now the whole time speaking to them each other in Spanish, and I'm standing there. I have no idea. Are they talking about me, or are they talking about the game or whatever? Right. So, yeah, it was crazy, but, I mean, that's, when I tell you that story, probably, the people that will listen to this podcast kind of go, wow, that's kind of neat. Well, that's kind of what it would be a regular thing in a game down south in Puerto Rico or something, where that game was in Puerto Rico. You know, maybe not to that extent, but just that the emotion with those fans at we've seen it. I'm sure we've all seen it on TV with the soccer officials, or sorry, soccer fans. It's the same thing in the basketball community, and just that level of emotion, and you know that's not something we typically see down at the Duckworth Center or University of Winnipeg after a game or that kind of stuff. So yeah, another real cool experience for me
Yeah.
as a FIBA official.
To say the least. So obviously, I got to ask you about we
Yeah,
mentioned in the intro, so we actually have to talk about it. But you got to do, well, first of all, you got to officiate at Madison Square Garden, which is like it's Madison Square Garden. So as far as North American basketball goes, that's like one of the places that anyone in basketball would want to be in. I mean, just anything, any performer, if you're in Madison Square Garden doing an official event, that's a big deal. So you were able to do that, and then obviously, as I mentioned, you were able to do Team USA as well. So that must have been a pretty big moment for you. What tournament was that for?
it was a kind of an exhibition warm up to I think it was the World Championships. So they had Puerto Rico, China, and France were the and then Team USA. So it was a four-team tournament in Madison Square Gardens, and I got the call and the opportunity. Don Klein, the former president of our Canadian Association, Don was one of the instrumental in helping me get my FIBA card. Phoned me and asked me if I'd like to, head down to New York and referee in Madison Square Garden. So I said yes without even looking at my calendar. Of course, I mean that's a highlight of my career. I mean, as you said, it's the
Yeah.
most iconic arena in the world, and you say it, Madison Square Gardens. There isn't many. That's as famous of a kind of a stadium that there is in the world, and to be have
Mhm.
just be opportunity to be in that building was absolutely amazing. So it's yeah, it was a great experience. 22,000 fans. You go in there and the change room. We're walking out, and Magic Johnson says hello to us as we're walking down the hallway. And like, why would Magic Johnson be standing right there, right?
Yeah.
To just we walk on the floor, and at that time, Coach K from Duke was the head coach
Mhm,
of Team
mhm.
USA to Team USA, and he says hello to all three of us officials walking onto the floor, and he says, "Hey, Reid, or hi, Reid, how you doing? How was your flight from Winnipeg?"
Oh, so
So
he does.
here's
He's got the research though, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
somebody has gone and done the
Yeah.
research
He's got
that
his little like. He's
knows
like
that I'm from Winnipeg, but I mean,
still.
that's never happened to me before, right?
No.
Here's got the one of the most iconic basketball figures in the United States saying hello to me, and how's my flight? And I mean, that's just a level of, I won't say professionalism, but just the detail and the importance
Hmm.
they put on just checking all the boxes, and
Yeah.
so walking out there and Coach K saying hello to us, and yeah, that was kind of neat, but it was like, wow, it just blew me away at that point. I wasn't expecting that. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, I mean, a game. I mean, it wasn't. I wouldn't say the most challenging game, just because, especially back then, Team USA was always so much better than everyone else. But it was an opportunity to referee Steph Curry.
Hmm.
In his kind of beginning of his career. I mean, certainly, maybe not the player we know who Steph Curry is today, but guys like Kevin Durant, and so it was just you know, it's a dream come true.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember making a call, and at that time, if you know a referee and you make a call, you go opposite the team bench area where the scorer's table is.
Hmm.
So I'm standing as they're shooting foul shots, and I hear a guy just beaking off at me, just giving it to me. So I just kind of turn around, and it's Spike Lee. And it's like, and it's and Spike Lee is well known for being front
Hmm.
row at all the Knicks games, and those were his seats.
Yeah.
And he's well known for always showing up late. And so when the
Mm.
game started, there's absolutely no way Spike Lee was sitting there, but this is in the second quarter or something. And all of a sudden I turn around and I'm getting my chewed out by Spike Lee. So it's again
Man.
another real neat experience that
Yeah.
I was able to have there at Madison Square Gardens.
Yeah, it's almost it's like when you just when you talk about it, it's almost like a surreal experience, right?
Oh
You're like,
yeah,
what's going on? But
yeah,
it's the one thing is interesting, and I'm curious what your opinion on this or what your experience was like when you're in. Obviously, we know these people from TV, right?
yeah,
Whether it be Magic Johnson or Spike Lee for that matter. But when you're in person with them, obviously you get the sense like obviously we know this, but like okay, they're just normal people who have done some great things. But did you feel any less did you feel that they were more humanized, or were you still like, oh wow, it's Magic Johnson? Like were you still like, oh look at that? What was your perspective? Because you still have a job to do, right? You can't be sitting there being like starstruck. You got to be focused, and you're there as well. Like you're if they're there for whatever reason they're there, you're there for the reason you're there, and there's a certain level of professionalism that you got to maintain going into there. So what was your kind of I guess mood or mindset kind of working through that?
yeah. I mean, the fact that it was kind of an exhibition series is one thing, but I mean, valid point there. I mean, these people are larger than life. As we know, as movie stars, at Spike Lee or whatever, or Magic Johnson. To me, at that point, I mean, I grew up as a kid in the
Hmm.
'80s, and Showtime. Magic Johnson was on TV all the time. I mean, I loved the Lakers and the way they played, and certainly was one of the reasons why I love basketball as much as I did. And I walk out of the change room and he's standing right there. I mean, 6'9" as it is, never mind larger in life of a human being as he is.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
was, it's wow, yeah, it was Magic Johnson, So those, and I'm not going to get corny on here, but once the lights are on and your whistle blows and you get focused in the game, that kind of stuff
yeah,
subsides, and you get focused on between the lines what's taking place there, and
yeah, absolutely.
Kevin Durant becomes a number, not uh, you know a you know an NBA All Star kind of thing, and you just
Hmm.
got to treat it that way. So
Hmm.
you soak in and enjoy the moment before the actual game, and after you get back into that, reflecting on it and the memories that you've made. But certainly when that ball gets thrown up and you start the game, it's all business from there on in.
Hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. No, that's super cool, super cool. So I wanted to transition a little bit here because obviously we can go on for a long time if we really wanted to. I could ask you a million questions, and I still have a
Yeah,
bunch more to ask you. But I wanted to talk about the WNBA, all right, Winnipeg Minor Basketball Association. So obviously, I was grateful for my time there as the executive director, and
yeah,
we got to actually connect, I guess, off the court
for sure.
during my time there.
Yeah,
But you've been around, and I got to
Gruda.
yes, exactly, the founder, Mike Gruda, and so we got the backstory of the WNBA and everything like that, and how it all came together. But just how did you get involved specifically? Because at the time, again, I'm not even sure. This was what 90? Was this like 96?
Yeah, it's going to be. I think that's yeah, about that number. And I'm glad you asked the question, Darcy, because to me, I think it's a fantastic story. It's you know, Mike Ruda coming back to Winnipeg. I mean, as the story goes, he had a couple of kids and nowhere really for them to play. And back, well, moving from Calgary to Winnipeg, they had a community club types league out there where his kids had somewhere to play. So, first thing Mike does is he figures out, well, I better talk to Basketball Manitoba and let's get a league going or whatever. And which they did. They got 40 teams and a league. And that time was going to start sometime in the fall. And this particular Saturday, the league was going to start. And the Wednesday prior to that, so a big 3 days before the league started, it was after 8 o'clock p.m. And it's important I tell you that because it's a Wednesday before the Saturday. The phone rings and it's Mike Ruda saying, "Hey, Reid, my name's Mike Ruda. I started this league and your name was given to me as someone that maybe could help out getting the referees." And right away, I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And, when, when, when does the league start? Saturday morning? We have 40 teams. We got 20 games on Saturday. And at that point, there's no infrastructure put in place in terms of, young officials around the city or, at that time, the middle school or junior high leagues. We didn't have like a structure of a list of officials or anything. So I had to scramble for 48 hours to try to get, um, you know, enough referees on the floor to start this league. And certainly I was able to do that. And so that was really the beginning. It was a phone call from Mike Ruda. I alluded to a name there, Rod Kepler, the kind of the
Yeah,
godfather
yeah.
of refereeing in Manitoba. He recommended my name, and that's really where it started. And
Wow.
it was quickly realized that we needed to catch up to the game at that point in terms of developing referees and providing some structure. And, so Rod and myself worked on developing a training protocol for officials and a recruitment process. And that's kind of evolved over the last 26 or 27 years. So, again, very grateful for that opportunity from Rod to pass my name along and just be a part of grassroots basketball in Manitoba. And it's yeah, if you were to told me that night I was going to be finding referees on a Saturday afternoon in 1996 and fast forward to 2024 and I'm still here, kind of
Yeah.
doing the same thing, I'd tell you you're crazy. So yeah, it's been an amazing experience and tremendous league. Happy to talk about over the years of putting that infrastructure in place and the training of officials and watching
Hmm.
them evolve through, doing 7, 8-year-old kids to virtually half our youth sport panel or whatever our local board here is made up of officials who actually started in the WMBA.
Hmm.
And if you look at our senior officials in Manitoba right now, we're at about 230 officials in Manitoba, and probably 180 of those in the city of Winnipeg. I'd hazard a guess that half of them or more first games they ever refereed were in the WNBA. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
you look at and I'm sure you've had those conversations with the powers to be, and the fact that you've been involved in the WNBA and basketball for many years, the development of players and going through that and what it's meant
Yeah.
to the
Big
game,
time. Big
it's
time.
been just as important, maybe even more important for the basketball community to have a grassroots level where we can get kids that are 14, 15 years old, get them involved in the game, train them, provide some mentorship to them,
Hmm.
and kind of start growing their roots so they stay with the game and we can evolve them into the high school ranks and then the senior ranks. And,
Hmm.
for some of them move along into the, youth sport level. And so, yeah, you asked me the question how I got involved, and that was many years ago with that phone call with Mike Ruda, and how and where we've evolved to today has just been outstanding, and still it's truly one of my passions, or one of the things that I'm proud of the most, to be honest with
Hmm.
you, is my relationship with the WNBA and what it means to the officiating community for Manitoba.
Yeah, yeah, it's well said. That's very well said. It's yeah, and you're right. I've interviewed a whole bunch of people, whether it was be coaches even, who got their start in the WNBA, players, people who started as players and then transitioned to coaches, and then now they're coaching at higher levels, provincial teams and stuff like that. Some of our most elite players, their first shot at it was in the WNBA. So it's very cool. Like the league itself, it's been so critical in just developing basketball in the province, right? And yeah, I mean, you said it very, very well. It's when it. I think there was it last year? Was it 25th year, or is it this 2024? I'm not quite sure, but I think it was last year, right?
I think we just hit our 27th year.
27th, so 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I know there was a little bit of stuff done there, but I just know that like the league being in part of it myself, but all the people I didn't really know until I did interview Mike Ruda and I did a bit of research and I actually asked him. I said, and this is similar because you were right there with him on officials, so I'll ask you this question. It's like, and I mean you kind of stated it, but I said the question I asked him directly was, how does it feel to know that like you've impacted people who thousands of people that you've not met even half of them, but you've impacted their basketball experience or their experiencing with basketball and maybe even made it happen just by the work you're doing and how special and impactful that is. Now I know you know this because you just said it, but he was kind of like, yeah, you know what, like when you think about it, it takes people to step up and be champions, right? And so the league
And
itself is
you know, and Mike has been recognized many times, and he deserves
yes,
every recognition that he ever has, is in the foundation that he put together with this WMBA. But I can tell
yep,
you, from a personal perspective, having the opportunity to work with Mike Gruda was, you couldn't have asked for a better human who started the league, and the
hmm
support he gave me as a young guy trying to support the league with officials, and his support in protecting young officials and
hmm
how important that was to him. And, not just having a league so kids can play, but
yeah,
having a league that referees can referee and feel safe and be protected and,
hmm hmm
be a part of something very special was always, and still is today. I still talk to Mike. And in fact, this year he came back and he is doing a little bit of refereeing in the WNBA
no
just
way.
because he wants to be a part of it. Yeah, 100%.
Look at that.
He's
Full circle.
he he just resurfaced and he's come back and he's doing he just wants to be a part of it, and it's just so
Yeah.
important to him. And
Yeah.
it just speaks to the individual he is, and how lucky we are in this community to have a
Yeah.
guy like what he's done for the game
Yeah.
through the
Absolutely.
WNBA.
Absolutely. No. It's great. No, it is absolutely great to have the league is I would say um it's kind of like the foundation of basketball. It's like the bottom level, and just it's strong, and that's why the rest of the stuff is above it is so strong, right? Like everything that you've mentioned on the official side of things is you've been able to establish some of those pathways through the WNBA. So it's just it's a great league, and I'm obviously super grateful that I was able to be a part of it. Um, so we're getting close to the end here.
Yeah.
I typically line up a few questions. Now, these ones here, if you don't have an answer to them, you can just say pass, or you can just answer something completely different. But they're just more direct questions, just
Yeah, absolutely.
about your experience. And I know sometimes it's hard to just recall these things off the top of your head, but I always like to ask these questions at the end. So if I was to ask you, Reid, what's your most memorable basketball moment? What are some of the moments or a moment that comes to mind?
Walking out on the floor, Madison Square Gardens,
Yeah,
the referee,
that was
in
it.
front of
Yeah.
22,000 fans, refereeing Team USA.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty straightforward.
Probably,
Hold on.
that's
Hold
it.
on. Hold on.
Yeah.
I just had a memory flash into my mind.
Yeah.
So Adam Wedlake shared something with me, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it was during that tournament, but something happened with you. I'm sorry to bring this up, but I want to say, was it a blooper or like you made something happened and in the game that was like significant? I don't remember if I'm just making this up, but does this ring a bell at all?
Oh, geez. That's,
Because the game was on TV, and I remember, I don't know if you blundered a call or something. There was a mix up. It was something happened, and I don't think I don't know if I'm making this up, but does this ring a bell at all?
yeah. Well, I can tell you, I called a back over center
Ah, okay.
on, well, geez, I forget the name. He was kind of the sixth or seventh man on Golden State that just retired
Oh,
a year or two
Iguodala?
ago. Yeah.
Iguodala? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's 6'8" and a tremendous athlete.
Yes.
And I'm standing there, and he went and got a ball and grabbed it and threw it in the front court, and I called it back over center. And
Yeah.
standing right behind me on my shoulder was Coach K, and he says, "Reid, don't let the speed and the athleticism
No.
affect the way you call the game." I called it. I missed, like, I blew the call, but I've
Oh, it was
never
okay. You
seen.
blew it. Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't back over center, but the fact that he was able to get as
Yeah.
far as he did and
Yeah.
get that ball and get it back into the front court without committing the violation
Yeah.
was, I, nothing I've ever seen humanly possible. But I mean, you're just talking about the best athletes
Yeah.
in the world,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
certainly him himself would have been in the top percentile of
Oh,
those athletes.
100%.
And
100%.
that phenomenal, active athleticism caught me by surprise, and I just,
Wow.
I boom, so
Coach K said that
yeah,
to you.
yeah.
No
So
way. Yeah, he's
and he was,
man. All this
and I'm
is.
like in my own head going, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right,
right.
coach, but I
Yeah,
can't turn around and tell that. So
man.
yeah,
Man,
so
he.
that was kind of a blunder, but kind of a neat experience. And I can't believe
Yeah.
it. Adam and I are going to have a chat about sharing these kind of things. So
Well, I was in the inner circle. I'm sorry. You know what?
yeah, yeah,
I'm
no,
bringing it public. I apologize.
yeah.
Um, so you can answer either of these or just whatever comes to mind. So either funniest basketball moment or craziest basketball moment. I think you already talked about the ones with the guns and all that, but is there another funny or crazy moment that stands out?
Well, I think the one that Adam is alluding to was actually when it was a national semifinal on television in Scotia Place in Ottawa.
Okay.
It was Carleton against University of Alberta, the Golden Bears,
Yep.
and it was the semifinal. It's like you said, it was live on TSN, and I was running down as the lead official. I was busting it down the court, and a player from Carleton was going to the hoop, and a player from Alberta stood in there and took the charge. So I blew my whistle and I stepped in it to make the signal. And as I'm going this way, the players are coming the other way. And he took my feet right from underneath me.
No
And
way.
as when I was falling, my elbow fell right on that Alberta's player, right on the side of his head. So the blunder, I guess you said, the right call. I mean, the right
Yeah.
call. It's just the collision happened. We all fall to the floor, and we get up. And of course, at that time, all my refereeing colleagues are along the sidelines and falling out of their chairs, laughing and everything. I give them the big safe signal that
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Saturday night, back in that day, they had the plays of the week, or the best plays of the week. Well, they had the worst play of the week. The
Oh, see, this
TSN
is
worst
yes,
player of the
yes.
week was Reid Kenyon, getting his legs taken out of me, and
Oh
and that
man.
was the blunder. It was funny. And then the next night, I saw the kid from Alberta, and he was all excited. He came running over to me, gave me a high five, and he's like, "Hey man, we made TSN's worst play of the day, and you gave me a concussion." So
No
because
way, the elbow.
yeah, I landed right on top of my elbow, right on his temple. So yeah, so that's somewhere in the archives. I have a couple of good refereeing buddies that at times over the years when we've been together, all of a sudden, if there's a TV, that play comes up on
They'll pull it up.
to be seen. That so yeah,
Nice.
that would definitely take the blunder of my career
There we go.
call. So yeah,
There we go.
very funny.
I'm sure we can find it on YouTube somewhere. So if
Yeah,
people want to go search
yeah,
it, you
absolutely.
can pull it
Yeah.
up. Okay, no, Reid, I appreciate your time. I always like to finish with one question, piece of advice. And so, since your expertise is officiating, I like to imagine if, to frame the question with, you're speaking in which you've done before. I know this already, but to young officials, and, like say a group of young basketball players, right? And these are the people like yourselves. Like you're not going on to college. You're probably going to play senior men's, but we want you to officiate. We want you to think about doing that. What would be the advice that you would give them, and specifically the advice that you would give them? Because you can sit in there and talk for 30 minutes. That's not going to. People only remember a few things when they interact with somebody, right? So you want them to remember this. What advice would you give them about officiating, getting into officiating, kind of making that part of their life?
Yeah, absolutely. It's and before I kind of answer that question, it's one of the privileges I have in the kind of the leadership roles that I sit in is I have an opportunity to provide kind of reference checks for a lot of young officials, and
Hmm.
I'm proud to do that because to speak to your question, Darcy, refereeing basketball as a young person, I don't think there is any better part-time job that you can have because whatever area of your life you go in, if you continue officiating or your professional life, the skills that you develop
Hmm.
and can be easily transferred into your next chapter of your life. You're in a court where you have to make split second decisions. You're under pressure. You got to work with a partner and have good communication. And if you develop those kind of skills as you go along and become proficient at those translate into skills that will benefit you in whatever walk of life you do. So, just from a big picture perspective, when I answer that question, just how impactful being a referee can be on your development as a person is I've seen it for 30 years, and I wouldn't, I take so much pleasure in seeing some of these people now that first started back in 25 years ago, 15, 10 years ago, when I see where they are today in their life, and I know that a foundation of who they are or where they are is because of basketball refereeing and the development of those skills of being able to translate into their working life. But and from but dial it down a little bit. I mean, as you said, not all of us are going to have the ability to play at the next level, what that even looks like at the college, university, or even the pro level. What a tremendous way to be still involved with the game. I mean, I've uh, I've been involved with this game for 30 years. If I didn't referee, I might be a fan, but that's it. I'm still involved with the game. I'm excited tonight that I'm going to be on a university floor with some of Canada's best athletes, and I'm going to be a part of that action, and I still am. And some of my best friends in the world are the referees in the game from across Canada and across the world. So the game can deliver so much more to you, from that aspect. We can't have a game if we don't have players, we don't have coaches, and that third pillar of officials. And it's a way to stay involved with the game. And there's so many opportunities for young people today to take it to the next level. So if you're competitive and you want to stay in the game and you want to go to the next level, there's a pathway to get there. So, that's kind of the message I would say to those young officials is, the personal development for the next chapter in your life. And, if you want to stick with the game and take it to the next level and whatever that next level might be for you, um, being an official is a great way to get there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting listening to you say all that, and I said, well, I mean, this is essentially the story of um, almost coaches, players, or officials in basketball, right? Take you around the world. You're going to meet some of your best friends. It's going to give you confidence. It's going to make you better at decision making. All those things, and it's so interesting because all those it's everyone plays a different role, but it's all for that game, and the outcomes are very similar, right? Like what you get back from being a part of it. And so from what I hear, and it's if, to kind of like summarize what you said is it's really just an opportunity to stay involved in the game. If you love basketball, you can get some of the same joy that you get from playing, or even coaching through officiating. And that's all I heard from you is just pure joy. Hey, travel, all these things, and then again tonight you're going to officiate a college basketball game, right? And you're excited for it. And
Well, yeah.
that's the same thing as someone who's I'm going to coach my game. I'm excited for it. I'm going to play. I'm excited. Right? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, even now with the Sea Bears in town, like that,
Yes.
we have another. kind of chapter in the game here locally, and the excitement that brings, and being involved with that is it's outstanding. So, you give me an opportunity, a platform to kind of promote being an official. It's I recommend anyone that's interested in it to check it out. It's so much fun, and there's good people, and being a part of the game is so much fun. So yeah, it's brought so much joy, and it's become part of who I am. Like today when I walk around, people know me as my customers in my professional life. Know me. Hey, you're that guy. You're a referee, and that happens all the time. In this community. So yeah, it's love to see more officials join the game and be a part of the game.
Well, I'll just ask on that note, because I totally agree with you. We do need officials. So people who may be listening, coaches and stuff like that, just so that people know for sure, what's the best way if someone's interested in getting involved? Where should they go? What should they do?
Yeah, so we train officials typically every fall. We have a number of training sessions or clinics that you must attend, and unfortunately, just in the beginning part of the season, so there isn't anything now until probably September or October. But MABO, our governing body, Manitoba Association of Basketball Officials. If you go to our website, maboref.com, or Basketball Manitoba always has information on becoming an official on their website, and they promote it, or just ask if you're part of the game. Ask an official you see at a game. Hey, how do I become a referee? Today, it's with technology and the access to information. It's not hard to find us, or talk to an official you see at a game. I'm sure they'd love to speak to you about it.
No, it's great. That's super good. That's super good. And I'll add also that if you're a basketball player and you need a part-time job, and you could go work part-time in some store somewhere, or you be an official, I mean, it's not that hard of a choice. You get to be around the game. Why? You know what I mean? And the pay is not bad. Pay's not bad.
The working hours are so flexible. You pick your own times when you referee.
100%.
You get some physical workout when you're refereeing, and you get to, and develop those skills, as we say, split second decisions, communication, working under pressure, all those things that in our professional life, those things come up all the time, and we need to be the better you're at it, the more success you're going to have. So
100%. Well, Reid, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast, and I wish you good luck tonight in the game. And if you've been doing it over 30 years, you're looking great. You probably have another 10 or more left in you at this point. You stay in shape like this, man. But no, we do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Oh, it's been great. Great catching up with you personally, Darcy. Certainly, as you said, our paths have crossed many times, and good to see you. And talking basketball is something I love to do. So the time here has flown by, and it's been great. A great connection. I appreciate you having me on your podcast.
Awesome. All right. Take care, Reid.
Okay. Take care, my friend.
All right.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share this series, and reach out to us with your comments on the show. Thanks again for joining us.